Well, the US political timetable means there are only a few weeks left before Congress goes on recess, and with the focus increasingly on the election, one of the casualties is likely to be that much vaunted Saudi normalization deal. Well, to talk more about that, we're joined by Fredman, Director for Israel and the Abraham Accords Peace Institute and a Senior Fellow at the Misgav Institute for National Security. Thank you very much for being with us, Asher. Good to see you again. And Secretary of State Antony Blinken, he has been back and forth a few times. He's been here in Israel. He's also been in Saudi Arabia. He's met with the Crown Prince and other senior officials there. However hard they try, it seems like it is just not going to happen under this president.
There are meetings that are happening. It was obviously would be a major foreign policy win for President Biden right before the elections. But I think you're right. And I think it's in Israel's interest and even in America's interest to wait until after the elections, whether the next president is President Trump or President Biden. The Israel and the United States' negotiating position vis-a-vis Saudi Arabia would be better in any case.
But rather than normalizing with Israel, there are signs that the Saudis are going in the opposite direction. They're moving closer to China. They're moving closer to Iran. We saw the first flight in 12 years from Syria land in Riyadh yesterday as the Saudis seem to be embracing President Assad. That might be difficult to undo, whatever the changes in the US.
The Saudis indeed sense American weakness or American non-involvement in the region. The Russians, and even the Iranians are working very hard to court them, to create economic ties with them. We have to remember the fundamental suspicion and hostility between the Saudis and the Iranians still very much exists. I do believe that an American administration fully committed to expanding the Abraham Accords and deepening regional cooperation could in fact succeed in fact fairly quickly in putting the ties back on the positive track, the positive momentum, but it will take an American administration fully committed to this goal.
All right, Asher, stay with us. Let me bring in Ruth Wasserman Lande, who's with me in the studio. And Ruth, because you've worked on the Abraham Accords, as I mentioned, yourself, just explain to us, how do you think what is happening here is being seen in Riyadh? Because they want a strong Israel for a partner. They're not interested in a weak Israel. How do you think that they are seeing the way the war is going over there?
So one of the most important key factors that the Saudis wish from Israel in order to move forward on anything, and I do believe that they are extremely keen to move forward. They are maneuvering and pushing forward a policy with a very smart, strategic manner of looking at things, understanding that they need to make peace or relative peace with all of their enemies, including Iran, a rapprochement, including Qatar, including Syria, and so on and so forth, but also with Israel. But they need a strong Israel. They need a stable Israel. They need to see that Israel is with its hand. It has its upper hand in what is happening with the Palestinians. That's number one. Number two, I absolutely agree with my colleague from the Misgav Institute for National Security, with Fredman, saying that basically they are waiting to see who will hold the realm and who will hold the reins in the United States of America. Will there be a different administration, and then they can get perhaps maybe more stability, maybe more commitment in that specific issue of Abraham Accords oriented kind of cooperation? And we are just in the opening, a couple of months away from the elections. They are waiting to be a little bit more sure.
Asher, do you agree with that?
I do agree with that. I do think that the basic logic of Israel-Saudi cooperation for trade, for stability, for regional defense, for regional integration still exists. The Saudis also have to contend with very negative public opinion in the Arab world. But because the underlying logic, the underlying mutual benefits still exist. And I think that my colleague Ruth is absolutely correct. The Saudis want to see Israel strong. The Saudis don't understand why it's taking Israel so long to defeat Hamas in Gaza. The Saudis don't understand why Israel's reaction to Iran's 300 missiles and
actually, do they not? I mean, if we compare the way the war in Gaza has gone compared to the way the Saudi-led coalition tried and failed to defeat the Houthis in Yemen, I mean, surely they can see that Israel is doing better than they did on that front.
Israel's doing better, but nevertheless, it's a small territory that we control all of its borders. I think the Saudis would have liked and would like this war to end with Hamas defeated, but they would like it to end as quickly as possible. Unfortunately, due to American pressure, it's one of the main reasons why this war has been going more slowly. But again, once you have an American administration that's fully committed to regional cooperation, I remain optimistic about the potential. And personally, I would advise both Israeli and American decision makers to wait until after the elections, whatever the outcome.
On a brighter note, Asha, there are signs that the pace of modernization inside Saudi Arabia is happening at a breakneck pace. We've just seen an advert for an American footwear brand that shows, unveiled young women participating in sports. This has really made a big splash online. We can't show you the images, sadly. You'll have to go and find them yourselves. But are you hopeful that a more open Saudi society is going to be what drives stability in this part of the world, turning away, and in a quite short period of time, turning away from jihadism, from radicalism, and embracing, modernism, business, and the future?
Absolutely. What Saudi Arabia and what its leadership have been able to accomplish in a few short years is remarkable, both in terms of modernization, opening up the country to tourism, opening up the country to cultural events. And in a post-Hamas Gaza, if and when Hamas is defeated, both the Saudis and the Emiratis have led very impressive processes of de-radicalization within their own countries. And I believe that they could play a very important role in a similar de-radicalization process in Gaza as well. Though, again, that will require Hamas to be defeated so that a new leadership can take over.
All right, Asha Fredman, great to talk to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Great to talk. Great to be here.